Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your market and option recap for Thursday, May 17th. And we'll start with the S&P, and then we'll start with the S&P chart. We'll talk about a few other sectors that were moving today, some of today's market action, and we'll talk about what we traded today, and then finally the option activity of the day, which was pretty simplistic, I would say, in terms of what they were buying today or what sector they were concentrated in. But first things first, S&P right around flat for the day, still struggling with this line that we've got, this second line that we've got drawn here. Again, I always start with the S&P, even though I kind of think it's a bit boring, and there's some other areas of the market that I think are much more interesting than that. But yeah, we are struggling here a little bit. We've been in consolidation zone all week long. How does this look on the 1 hour bar? I think there's a good level, which I think we talked about yesterday in the S&P, and I'll just back this up on the 1 hour bar. We did, perfect support using the value areas, which I do sell this indicator on my website if you are interested. Really gives some great support and resistance levels. I don't give it enough credit, and I don't oversell. So, but you can see right there a really good example of what we did in the S&P last week. We found support right at the top of value, then we got going. This week it's a little bit more. A little bit more different. We started the week higher. We fell into it, bounced off it a couple times now, but not that far away. We'll see what Friday we've got. After basically going sideways all week in S&P. We'll see what Friday has in store for us. Definitely, headline driven, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that. IWM continues to be the outperformer. This did fall into value at the beginning of the week, but since then has been the outperformer. So up, seems very resilient today to the headlines. Just had a little bit of a quick dip. Notice that this is starting to get overbought. Not yet, but close to, maybe one more day of gains. But small caps have definitely been where it's at. A much different picture than what S&P looked like. Qs, I still think are I'm still in the camp that they got a little bit too far ahead of themselves last week and are digesting. Nothing wrong with digesting. I think also the sentiment got a bit too hot, on the very hot end of the spectrum last week. So it takes a little while for that to burn off. You could kind of see for the Qs, we're down 38 basis points, but I think right around where we opened. For the Qs. We did break this value area. I was watching this today in the trading room. We were kind of hanging around here for lunchtime, and then there was a headline about Trump and said China, the trade negotiations are not going so well. I'm paraphrasing there, but the market is still kind of driven by this, and we're still maybe sensitive is the better word to use. And then we snapped back. It does feel like the moves are getting less and less. So it seems like the market is maybe getting a little bit more adjusted to this, meaning we're not falling 2% on these headlines. We're falling about 0.5%. And then you can see we actually came right back from there too. So, the market does kind of the market essentially gets over it, right? After there's been enough headlines about the same thing over and over, the market seems to kind of shake it off, and it's marginal. It's a marginal reaction, or it's a diminishing marginal reaction. How about that term from your economics 101 class? Diminishing marginal returns to the headlines at this point. So they're still being affected, and I think you're going to still have an effect when it says something's going on or not going on with the China tariffs, but it's getting less. That's just my opinion. So one thing I will say, and I'll start talking about the sectors. I'll start bringing up. We'll talk about XOP. One thing that we talked about even before the sell-off in the trading room, and I do try to provide value where I can. And what I stressed is that we still kind of have a herky-jerky market going on, and it's not really the time, in my opinion, to have a ton of positions on. So it is tough, like especially let me just go back to the S&P, the 5-minute chart. When you see this in the beginning of the day, it's tough to remember not to chase and to not put any new swing trade positions on into this. You really want to stick to your guns and only be buying, trying to, at least trying to. I know this is a very, it's a tough technique, and it does take a little bit of experience and um, yeah, experience training and a little bit of learning that, especially in a choppier market, which I think we still have right now. We're still in a choppy market. We've been making, I guess you could also say, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But you want to really buy your positions. And again, this video is for information purposes only. I'm not giving advice or anything like that. But buying in red is a lot better than chasing, and that's been the case for the last couple months. You really have to wait and be patient. If you see a big order on the tape, you can realize you could start a position, which I feel helps me to really, that's one of the things that's been helping me a lot, is even when I see something really interesting on the tape, you just go in like a quarter of the size that you normally would, and then you just wait. Because it seems like you're getting that opportunity to get cheaper prices. So that's you don't want to be chasing in this market, and it's very difficult, to do that, especially when everything looks great off the start. It's like, hey, we're rallying, we're up 20, 30 basis points, and we're not anymore. So, and we're also flipping on a dime too, and it doesn't really seem like there's any rhyme or reason for it. A couple stocks that I saw today that started to get going, they stopped right at the previous week's high. So I kind of felt pretty good about this. I didn't fall into the trap. I guess that's another way that you could call it, is basically there's a lot of traps. But Netflix, for example, normally once Netflix gets outside of value, that's a buy signal for me. However, the next thing that I look at, once, that's step one. Step two is take a step back and look at where it's been for the week. And we could not bust over this. And that's a firm rejection, right? So, another example of not chasing, or maybe putting on the order in the beginning of the day and taking it off here, which is tough. I'm not saying that that's easy to do. So, there's other people. Oh yeah, you could have put it on here and you took it off here for big profits. It's not that easy. So, what I did was we watched the strength in Netflix this morning, and I kind of just sat on my hands and I said, let's see if we can get outside here. The same thing happened in Amazon. So just the market is just there's not buyers who are following these moves, and there's not really good money being put to work yet. Amazon actually did not. I guess I was looking at this today. Was this yesterday's high? I think so. We could not get over yesterday's high, and that's what I was looking at in Amazon today. Again, a stop right at the top of value. So these things are good to watch, good to pay attention to, and again, really trying not to. I bought Amazon earlier this week, and I bought it down here. I bought some here, I bought some here, and I bought some here. I was able to make a little bit of money out of it. I'd sold some put spreads that are still in play, but you just can't chase these moves up here. So, I bring up these concepts because I hope it helps a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about the best performing group, energy stocks, right? All over the place. If you're on Twitter, as I am, you see, you see everybody. You kind of have to laugh at this stuff. Everybody talking about, oh, did you see this name in energy, or did you see this name in energy? Wow, what a move! We saw calls in this, and it's gone higher. Yes, that's absolutely true, but it's literally every energy name. So, I hate to be the the bearer of maybe reality, but they've all been moving. So, which is good, right? You haven't had to, pick one name and another one goes up. They're all participating now. You could just look at the ETF. That's why I look at the ETFs first and then drill down to the single names to see if something is going on individually or if they're all going up. But XOP's up 3% and finished on the highs today. A bit overbought here. And I think it's some names we did start to see a little bit of profit taking. A lot of rolling of positions too. We have been seeing these little nibbles of calls going up, and a whole bunch of names. RRC was yesterday. I could go over and look at yesterday's option flow, but just a bunch of names. And same thing this morning. It seemed just a grab for momentum. So at this point, when we see again, this blotter that I have here is littered with smaller cap energy names. And at this point, I don't think you want to be chasing, in my opinion. Again, I'm using the same word, chase. I guess that's the theme of today's video is chasing. But at this point, I think you really want to stick to maybe some names that haven't participated yet, and some of the bigger trades, not some of the small momentum plays like ESV. There was calls right off the open today. Same thing with DNR. ESV actually a couple times, a low price stock. Neighbors, I mean, so take a look at a couple of these charts today. Neighbors, NBR, but I could literally name 15 of these names. That's a toppy looking candle. Not to say it can't continue to go higher. I tried Neighbors for a day trade and it just fizzled on me. So I'm susceptible to this stuff too. And then after we saw the Neighbors calls, because again, I'm watching trade after trade after trade hit in energy. So by the way, I already have energy plays on. I'll talk about them in a minute. I just, I don't jump up and down about it. Some of these you're supposed to make money, so you don't have to act like, oh, I called it. ECI I thought was pretty interesting. Again, this name is close to breaking out, but look at the volume in. You got to joke around a little bit, right? Look at the volume in ECA today. May. I mean, these are going to be rolls, right? But notice that this was like for 5 cents. This was 75 cents. Look at what they did here in June. They went out to June and they're putting on bigger size. So it's not exactly, a perfect roll. Like they're taking this trade off for 600,000 and it looks like they actually added to it in June. So look at all the ECA June calls. Again, here's another one for May labeled as a spread. Again, money coming off 100. So you want to look at the premium that they're taking off, and it looks like they're kind of doubling down. So let's look at the total volume. It was 23,000 of those June 13 calls, right? So they just took off the May 13s and May 14s for small money. So it does look like this is a new, bigger trade that they're putting on. Again, they got out of the Mays and took profits, which, again, you have to. We have expiration tomorrow. So, but it looks like somebody's doubling down and looking for ECA to go higher. And, so that's just one example that I think is pretty good in this market. Because a lot of stuff is just being rolled. There's a lot of open interest in some of these energy names in May. So, make sure the other thing that we talked about at lunchtime today was make sure you're taking profits. I'll give you another example. I put on a weekly trade in Nvidia. And again, this one I'll just call it I'm a bit lucky, right? I'm not going to say that I'm real good at timing this. I just kind of said, hey, I'm not going to be greedy. I went into a $5 wide spread for the week after when Nvidia was pretty ugly in the beginning of the week, and so I took it off for I think $1.95 today after purchasing it. It's a $5 wide spread, so the maximum I can make is $5 on it, and I decided to take it off for a double, or close to a double. Today, right at the highs of the day, right when it was hesitating, and thank goodness that I did. Otherwise, the trade would probably be would be worthless for tomorrow. Again, it was a weekly call spread that I had on. So you cannot be, and again, when I say you, again, I'm not giving you advice, but you just you cannot be too greedy in this market. The other thing is, of course, you have to. I think with option trades, you have to take targets and then leave that last runner on. With a trailing stop. All right, so that's a little bit about today's price action. Retail, I did get out of my XRT trade today. I thought it just ran its course. I thought it was kind of mission accomplished today. I actually took it off before this peak. I think I took it off right in here. That's fine. I had a limited risk reversal on. I think it's run its course. I'm not going to be in these to watch the paint dry in these retail names. I think these were all, or a lot of these are short squeezes. Maybe they got a little bit too cheap, but this is a nice swing up. And again, I don't want to be too greedy. Could it get up to 49 and maybe stretch up here? It could, but I'm happy with buying it in here and taking it off up here. That's a nice trade. And again, in this market, I'm perfectly comfortable with playing that way. Momo. So BZUN. I was in a conference yesterday, and I did not have time to put this trade on yesterday. A bunch of traders put it on in the trading room yesterday at the end of the day. Congratulations. What a move. I am long this in cash, but I wanted to put on a specific option play in this BZUN. You know, again, a name that fell pretty decently going into the earnings print, much better than a name that was rallying into the earnings trade. So really nice move. What did I play today? Momo. And again, it finished way off the highs today. We'll have to see what it does tomorrow. I'm still long a piece of these, but what a nice move in this Momo name. The other name that moved pretty nicely was YY, right above the 200-day moving average. This one they both report in a couple weeks, I believe. But really nice trade today. I put this on for, let's see, let me go to my blotter here. 215, and I think I started taking profits. So I took an exit at 280. So that's a perfect looking trade. And then I've got the balance. You know, just as I said, I've got the balance on as a runner. It did kind of fall apart here at the end of the day. I was hoping it would stay in, but I left what I have on for now. In that position, I'm in July, so I've got a little bit more time. It's not super short term. I got out of my square from yesterday. QDEL, I talked about this trade yesterday. I got out of that trade today. 460, paid 305. Look at it again. I felt like I had a little bit of luck with timing today. I was looking for something once the Qs sold off. And, you know, PayPal is a trade that I was in a couple weeks ago, and I got out of it last week. I said I was going to get back into it, you know, after it kind of moved. And I literally put it on right here and was able to take a target today. So that's perfect. Now I'm messing with, you know, taking some off the table, you know, and it's a longer data position. This is what I was in originally in October. I just decided to put the longer term play back on, give it plenty of time, and then go from there. So pretty good trading. One trade, I feel like I talk about winners all the time. One trade that I tried for some weeklies was ANF, Abercrombie and Fitch. Today I talked about that I think in yesterday's video. I tried it, it didn't do anything today, and because it's weeklies, if you don't get the move right off the bat in the weeklies, they kind of go to zero. So I think these are marking in about 10 cents, but I think it's still got a chance. We were joking around in this about in the trading room just a little while ago. Look at what AEO has done. Now, I am not a young millennial, so I don't really know what the difference is. I don't shop at American Eagle or in Abercrombie, but look at the move that AEO has done. And this is kind of what I saw as well with Abercrombie, thinking that it may follow. Again, I don't know if there's a major difference, but the charts look awfully similar. Take a look at the MACD crossover that just happened today. So maybe I'll get a little bit luckier tomorrow, and we'll get a move through the value area. We'll see. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.